is heard weekly on this and other great radio stations across the U.S. Find out how you can participate in the show by visiting UnderTheHoodShow.com.
With Russ Evans, this is Shannon Nordstrom, thanking you for tuning in to the Nordstrom's Under the Hood Show. Have a great day, and remember, PTLA.
The opinions heard on this program, based on the many years of experience of Russ and Shannon, are offered for entertainment value only and as a guide to your repair needs. No claim to repair or cause is given or implied. Always consult with your own certified technician and follow all safety procedures before attempting any repair. To be a part of the show, call 866-594-4150. Under the Hood is produced by Prairie House Productions. All content is the property of Nordstrom's Automotive Incorporated and may not be used without our permission. Copyright Nordstrom's Automotive, Inc. Now, let's go under the hood with the Nordstrom's Motor Medics.
Welcome to the Under the Hood Show. We are glad to have you with us. Russ Evans is here to answer your automotive questions.
Thanks for joining us under the hood.
Shannon Nordstrom is here to do the same.
Welcome, Hoodies. Thanks for tuning in so we can help you tune up.
I'm Chris Carter here to answer your calls at 866-594-4150. 866-594-4150. What's caught your attention in the automotive world?
Yesterday, one of my guys brings me a Facebook post video. He always finds the best stuff. Two guys sitting in a car. He says, "Ready to break the internet, buddy? Let's do it." Push the button. Hits the button. I'm like, oh, I know that sound. It's a healthy turboed Cummins diesel. Then they start doing the walk around. Gets out of the car, slams the door, walks around to the front, and I went, "That's a Prius."
Oh, really?
They gutted it out, and they put a Cummins turbo diesel in the Prius. And he's walking around, and it looks bone stock, except for the big tires under the back. They made it rear-wheel drive. License plate says, "Hug this." You know? Yeah, I thought of you, Chris. I thought, there you go. You know, somebody pulls up next to you and goes, "Look at those people being conservative with their Prius. Why is it smoking?"
Right.
You know, they rev it up and black cloud of smoke coming out the back. It's got the big exhaust
They went
on it.
full opposite.
Full opposite.
It's there's a lot of that stuff popping up. You got guys that are putting gasoline engines in Teslas and things. You know, if you want a deal on a Tesla, if you go find an old Model S, and I mean old like a 17, that somebody has put 100,000 miles on, and there's something that's happened to it causing it to need a battery or a battery and a motor, or you want to buy one that was a flood vehicle, oh, yeah, you can get a pretty decent deal on them. The body parts are super expensive because Tesla won't sell you those body parts. You know, you got to go to a Tesla authorized service center, or which there are a few now, or themselves. You know, we have one here for sale, and that'll either make somebody a great rebuilder, or it'll make somebody a great car that they will buy and part everything out on it and sell those individual parts, you know. But you can get some deals, and I've seen some really nice stuff. Rich Rebuilds has done a lot of gas engines in those cars, and he's done a lot of electric engines in things that were gasoline. So a lot of fun stuff out there. We're just talking before the show, Chris, about how many things, you know, we're talking about putting some of our archives up on podcast and how different it would be, you know, 30 years ago, of course, would be way different, but even just 4 or 5 years ago, how much has changed in the automotive world. Back when we used to joke and say, those hybrids, they'll never catch on.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
Yes, we missed that one.
Or the autonomous features, how they'll have to redo the road. I remember we're talking about redoing the roads because they'll have to have
magnets.
Yeah,
they were talking about.
That was the way they were going to do it.
Yeah. So much has changed. It's fun to ride along.
It's almost like we're getting old. 866-594-4150. Let's talk to Mark. Mark, you're on the Under the Hood Show. What can we do for you?
Good morning, gentlemen. Love your show.
Thank you.
So I've got an 86 Ford F-350 with the IDI 6.9 diesel in it.
You want to put it in a Prius. This is a good idea, I think.
Yeah, that would be interesting. So she's a great running truck. When she's warm, she fires right off. No problems whatsoever. No smoking or anything like that. I do put additives in the diesel to keep her from knocking. And she's just got a really cold heart. In the mornings, she just doesn't like to start it. Now, I've got new glow plugs in it. I've got new fuel injector seal caps and O-rings on it, so no air is getting into the system there. And she just, in the morning, even like this morning here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, it was kind of cold, and she just did not want to start. So I'm worried about going into the winter with her that she's just not going to start. She does have an engine block heater, and I do plan on plugging her in. But what could be causing the cold start?
How fast does it spin when you crank it? Does it turn good and fast like
Yep.
it should?
Yep.
Okay.
My battery's nice and strong. Yep, she's turning really quick.
That's number one. Number two, you're going to have to get an adapter and a compression gauge to go into that glow plug and find out what your compression is. Just because of the age, it may be losing compression. And diesels, some engines, so you get like the Cummins, they fire without glow plugs. You just got an intake heater and they spin over, and you don't even need an intake heater when you got a certain temperature out. A lot of big industrial equipment's the same way because you got that compression, it'll light it off. An engine like this with glow plugs still is going to require compression to fire that thing. If you have low compression, the glow plugs aren't going to do a lot of good. It's kind of like running one with good compression and weak glow plugs. It just won't fire well. So that could be what's causing it to be hard to crank. That's where we would start before we even went into any other things. Of course, you got cranking speed.
Do you happen to know what the compression should be?
I don't right off the top of my head. Used to remember that, but boy, it's been a long time since we had a 6.9 in the shop. But I would look up, get on the internet, look up that compression.
I'm a good searcher, so I can find that.
Are you as good as Chris? He says he's a really good searcher. He thinks he's really good at it.
Yeah, well, probably not.
And I would, Russ hit the basics. The state of health of that engine is where you got to start with, and
they were a great engine. I mean, they were good.
We used them in our rollback trucks for years, and we ran them and ran them and ran them. And the things that would bite us would be glow plugs, glow plug timers, clutches. Yeah, we lost a few clutches. Glow plug timers, though, to make sure that circuit is cycling properly. I doubt there's anything causing the problems, but making sure that it's getting the correct amount of power to it and it's not having a power issue. You could have great glow plugs, but if the circuit's not working correctly, those are things to check just to make sure.
Yeah, look, so on those, they go by coolant temperature on them, and then they have a little unit in there that controls the time. If you look up that on the internet, you're going to see the detail. Just look up the glow plug circuit. Like a lot of the old GMs, the 6.2s, they had a little device screwed into the coolant passage on top of the engine with wires on it, and that controlled the length of how long the glow plugs would operate based on the temperature of the engine and things like that. And the colder it was, the longer they'd stay on. Now we do all that with computer controls, and that makes them start much better.
Well, and just for a little bit more on this, for people that are listening, they're like, what are they talking about? On a diesel engine, like Russ said, there's no spark plugs. And so you're compressing the fuel to a point where it ignites, is what's going on.
Boom.
And
which technically you could do anywhere if you had the right. I mean, you could put it in any sort of a container, compress it, and it would ignite.
So for diesels in cool temperatures, they run what they call a glow plug that is going to superheat that cylinder area in a short period of time so that when it does compress, it's got a better chance of igniting. And like Russ said, these new diesels have gotten so, there's two things. The computer technology has gotten so on point that they're just putting that spark in there, or that fuel in just at the right time, at the right rate, everything. But also, they're doing direct high-pressure injection of the fuel right into the cylinders, like at 30,000 pounds per square inch. A whole different ballgame than these older ones. So people don't even really think about the glow plug type stuff anymore. I was just up at the shop the other day, and Jake and Russ and Sean and Matt up there were just finishing up a weekend of doing some work on Saturday around the shop. And one of the things we were doing was taking some engines that we have problems with when we've dismantled them and we've found problems with them, and we want to do some further inspection to see if we can save them or fix something that we know is broke so we can sell a good product. But one of them they had up there is an eco diesel out of a late model Ram. and that's the half-ton EcoDiesel that they run in the Ram, Wrangler, Grand Cherokee. It's available. It's available in all those, and in that case, they still do have some glow plugs in there, and they're really little tiny things, and they're buried in the top center of the intake, and we've learned the hard way, don't come out very easily. And so, they still do use glow plug technology, and even in this modern stuff that they're coming out with, but it is something that is becoming less and less necessary, because as they researched on the internet a little bit, it sounds like you could probably get by with this EcoDiesel in most situations without using those glow plugs. But they're there in case of a extreme situation, super cold, whatever those factors might be that they want to preheat that cylinder. So with his older one that he's talking about from a 1986, this was early technology. He said, it was an IDI, indirected injected engine. You got a mechanical pump. It's really some old school diesel technology that probably goes back to the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s when they started bringing this stuff into the market. So pretty neat to talk about, but boy, has it changed.
Mark, thanks very much for the call. 866-594-4150. We're going to take a break, and we come back. We want to hear from you on the Under the Hood Show. Brought to you by Sturtevant's.
Be sure to visit our website for news, contests, and previous shows at underthehoodshow.com. Welcome back, everybody. It's time to get back under the hood with the Motor Medics.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us. Let's go to Maryland and talk to Thomas. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Thomas, what can we do for you?
Well, I had a question about, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but we're back on the ethanol fuel. I got a 08 Tacoma that's got a supercharger, so it requires higher octane. And I've been watching fuel trims, and, at an idle, just sitting in a parking lot, I've got a +4 short term. Long term's hanging at about 0.1 to maybe 1. And I'm kind of wondering, 4 I thought was a little bit higher than I thought, but I noticed I tested again while I was driving, and I'm at 0 to a 0.1 short term also. So I don't have any engine lights or anything like that. I don't hear any pre-detonation or anything at 88 octane. Out here, I've been running 93, but this is probably my 5th tank of 15%.
Okay, I want to cut in here.
Oh, Chris he's doing the point to
Yeah.
me like Blake Shelton over his head.
I don't know what he's talking about, but 0 seems right. Is that what I want? Do I want 0?
0 is right. And if
Okay.
you've got a minus on short term of 2 and a plus on long term of 2, that's a 0.
Okay.
You
And-
kind of want to bounce on both sides, back and forth a little bit.
But where he's at is perfect. You could run 15, 16, 18 positive, meaning it's adding that much fuel because you're running it leaner.
Yeah, explain
using
that to
ethanol.
people, Russ.
Yeah.
Because most people don't know what the heck we're talking about.
Including this person.
So they program a computer to run an engine at 14.7 to 1. So it's 14.7 parts of air to 1 part of fuel.
Okay.
That is going to give you what they call a stoichiometric ratio. That is the ratio at which
That part
it
I knew.
doesn't burn too hot, doesn't burn too cold, gets the best emissions. It's clean. We've been doing that for years. We want our engines to run that. So when they build an engine, they stick an emissions tester in the tailpipe once it's built with the exhaust on it, and they say, "Ooh, look, that ratio is hotter than we want. This is leaner than we want." So then they go in and they program the software and they get it to be perfect.
You mean with the one they build?
Yeah, the one,
Not all
the
of
test
them.
prototype.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
So they build this prototype, and once they run it and they sniff it and they say, "Ooh, it's too rich," they get in there and type the computer, like that, and they get it right at 0, as close as they can. They say, "This is where we want it." Hit the button, zero everything out. That's where we're going to start. This is a baseline. So this engine's running right where we want it, perfect at 0. Now, if it needs to add fuel to keep it to 0, we're going to see positive fuel trims. If it needs to take it away to get back to 0, we're going to see negative. So the computers have the ability to adjust to a certain point. A lot of them are around 20. They hit that 20 mark, and they say, we can't dump any more fuel in here. At this point, we could cause damage because we can't keep it at zero by adding fuel. So turn that check engine light on and warn the customer that there could be a problem if you go any further. So as long as the check engine light's off, it doesn't matter where the fuel trim's at, it's still keeping it at zero by adding or taking away. So if you got 10% in it and you've got a 2 for a fuel trim, if you got 15% and you've got a
You're
5
talking
or
about
6,
you're talking about the bio
yeah.
Yeah.
biofuel.
And if you've got 30% in there and you're running 16, as you're still in that window, you're fine. But if you push more than that and it turns the light on, like your car, Chris, it was built as a race engine, so it's tuned different. It's all built different. We've got to do some changing in that. Yours will tell the baseline to go up and dump more fuel into it to keep the ratios down and keep the check engine light off.
So for Thomas, with his
Right now, he's fine. Those
Okay.
numbers don't surprise me a bit, especially with a supercharged TRD engine. That's perfectly normal.
So you're thinking he could push it to E30 probably, and
Go a little hotter and watch the fuel trims.
does that answer your question there,
Okay.
Thomas?
Yeah, and I don't need to. I'm assuming that there's going to be some sort of timing advance or retard if there's a detonation.
Oh, yeah.
I assume it's got a knock sensor in there somewhere.
Yep, it's definitely going to change that. All the supercharged engines have that, but it's going to watch for that. But yeah, watch your fuel trims as you gradually add a little more. But the more you get, the more octane you're going to get because you're going to push up in that 93 with E30 and watch it. And again, they say,
Okay.
oh, don't use it. You're not supposed to use it. That's a government thing. And we just go, well, we're not
Yeah,
telling
I'm
you to use it.
getting a lot of pushback from a lot of people that I tell this is what I'm trying, and they're like, "Ooh, don't do that."
And it's like,
And I've been listening to you guys for a long time. It's an honor to talk to you.
oh, thank you. No, it's an honor talking to you because if we didn't have the listeners, we wouldn't be here at all.
It'd be kind of boring to show
Fair
up
enough.
and talk to ourselves.
Yeah, I mean it's great.
we'd
to
do
have
it
the
for a
listeners.
while. I bet.
Yeah, we could do it for a long
Yeah,
time.
probably.
We
Just
get
throw a
all
different
our
subject on the table.
information comes from working in our shop. We're there every day. Shannon's selling engines to people, and he's not selling engines because they said, "Oh, I put too much ethanol in and I burned it up." We've never had one come in from an insurance company that says, "Yeah, somebody made a mistake and put ethanol in their car and burned it up, so we're totaling the car." That's never happened. But yes, you could intentionally damage it if you put the wrong stuff in there and too much for too long. It's going to cause issues.
Thomas, thanks very much for the call. 866-594-4150. Let's talk to Tim. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Tim, what can we do for you?
Yeah, see, I've got a 2018 Yukon with 5.3 with the active fuel management. I'm kind of concerned about that. Right now, what I'm doing is on my fifth lever, I seen on YouTube, you go down the fifth gear or put it in low, then you can use your change selector to take it up to fifth gear, and I don't drop down into the V4 mode. And another question is, I want to get a active manager to disable. Now, is that a good idea too?
We're finding those lifters are breaking, whether or not they're disabled. We've had a few people call us that said they put that kit in immediately. They plugged it into the OBD2 port, shut it off, and they still had issues 80,000 miles down the road. I just don't have faith in the lifters. The steel that's coming out
Yeah, because
is junk in a lot of stuff. It's especially about 19 when right at the beginning of COVID and when all that stuff started. It seems like maybe my opinion is they had a supply chain issue, so they said, well, we can get this cheaper stuff, let's run it, because we're seeing some remanufactured engines with flat tappet cams that have had lifters collapse at the thin areas on them because they just don't have the strength. Why would that happen? And these lifter companies, I'm wondering if they're all kind of under the same umbrella with lifters, because it's like the lifter is the problem. If we had bulletproof lifters through all cars, we would not have the problems with the Chrysler 3.6. We would not have the problem with the with these engines, the 21s and things, and these Yukons. We wouldn't have.
They had a lot more problems with the newer generation right out of the box. Not this generation. This is the 14 to 20 generation.
Yeah. Now, you could try. It's not going to hurt anything by doing it. Now they're saying that because the only reason they did that is for emissions, to keep the emissions down, to give you better fuel mileage. So it is defeating an emissions device. So your ability to find that product on the market to disable it is going to be severely curtailed now with the new bills that have changed all these things. And then having one, the good news is it's 100% reversible. All you do is unplug it, and it goes back to normal. So if you did go to get an emissions test and they said you can't do it, it's disabled, well, put it back.
But in this case, it's not causing the problem he's worried about.
Yeah,
I would
think it's
concentrate
causing any
more
issues.
on high quality oil changed
changes,
at the right intervals and maybe
maintenance.
even a little shorter than you feel comfortable to extend the life of the internals of that upper end of that engine.
Tim,
Good idea.
thanks very much for the call. 866-594-4150. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you on the Under the Hood.
Find out how you can participate in the show by visiting underthehoodshow.com.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. If you like our Facebook page and you join the Hoodie fan club at underthehoodshow.com, you could win a hoodie.
Like Jason Miller, who has won a extra large hoodie. Congratulations from all of us here under the hood and our friends over at Universal Technical Institute, uti.edu. We encourage you to go there if you are thinking about getting into the automotive industry, or if you're thinking about being a welder. You want to be a certified welder. There's a lot of opportunities in that as well. CNC machinist, power sports mechanic. There's opportunities available in all that, and you're going to need good training. And our friends over there at Universal Technical Institute, uti.edu, can help you out right now.
How do you know that guy wants an XL?
Because he put it on his Hoodie fan club
Right.
entry when he joined the Hoodie fan club when he came in. And you know what? He's never got a communication from us except we're here. He's going to win a hoodie.
That's what
Yeah.
Because
Do
we don't
have a-
send out the garbage.
Do we have a place in there on their little application where they can go in and edit their size if they change?
No. You got
Oh,
to
yeah,
send
that's
it
good.
again.
Okay. So if all of a sudden you were, an XL and then you got down to a small,
This entry is 3 years old. So
Oh, he's probably a double XL. by now.
you never know. Well, I do have a buddy of mine. You know who it is, Chris. Yeah, you. Anyways, sorry, man. Still love you, but I got him a hoodie, and I got him a 3X. I ain't gonna fit anymore.
Yeah.
Because it was like 2 months before. I got him a 4X. A few months after that, nah, ain't gonna
I
fit
got a few sizes at home.
So then I got him a 5, and he's like, thank you. But he's kind of maintaining. May have lost a little bit now.
well, he's
so.
got things to move back to now.
Right, now he's covered.
Goals.
866-594-4150. Let's talk to Arthur in Mississippi. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Arthur, what can we do for you?
I got a 2014 Silverado. What it is doing is every time I get in it, the locks go up and down. They just click, and I try to lock it. They lock and then they open back up. I can't figure out what it is. I have got up under there the negative wires, the frame. I cleaned that up. I googled that. It showed that would help. And it did just a little bit, but then I had the batteries checked. I've had the batteries checked in the moat, but I can't figure out what it is.
We're sitting. Russ is
is-
trying to draw me a picture.
I think I can see what the picture
and
is.
I'm not. I'm so bad at this sometimes.
Is that picture of the driver's side door, and then you're pointing to the latch on the pillar, on the B pillar?
Is it just the internal door latch?
I'm thinking you might have a problem in the door latch. The door latch.
You see, he got so excited he got me overcomplicated.
I figure after putting 4 of them in your brother-in-law's truck,
Yeah,
was it?
that was,
all 4 doors?
Yeah, that was
The
Yeah,
electric
That was an older
door latch.
generation
You
one,
move
though.
the door latch, it locks and unlocks the other doors. It's got the electrical in it. So if you told me, you said I put the key in and I turned it, and they're doing this thing. That's what I'm looking at first, and I should be able to plug a scanner into it. If I'm that shop that can't figure it out, why
Especially
am I
if it's
not
doing it all the time.
Yeah, why am I not plugging a scanner into it, looking at the inputs for the body control module, and then sticking that key in and turning it and going, oh, look, I'm getting an input from this door lock without even moving it. I'd almost bet we got a problem with the door latch, at least one of them, and it'll tell you on that, being that it's that new on a 14, it'll tell you
The
which one it is.
integrated door latch assembly. Now, this is the 14 Silverado that's got the newer generation motor and stuff in it. It's the newer Silverado.
Right.
Yeah, because they made a classic
does.
yet in that era.
Mm-hmm.
That's
the
always fun
same
when
thing.
they make a classic model when they carry over for a while, and then you've got like a classic in 07. You got a classic in 14.
Why can't we just stick a number on them like we do our company trucks? I've got a Silverado 1. It's a 2014 and it's a 1. I got a 2014 and it's a 3. Well, what's the difference? Well, one's, a classic and two's not.
First generation, second generation, third generation.
So is that just, hey, we got a new body style. We got 14,000 left of the old one. Let's do a classic.
Well, no, they got such legacy systems built into certain plants that they can continue to punch them out, and they'll keep making them for fleets and different things.
Okay.
While they're gearing up a new plant that might be, or a new line.
I guess we're creating a new show now, but
Yeah.
there's plenty old ones.
Yeah.
We don't need to, but we do. We
Why
come out,
couldn't
we
you?
put
They're-
in a new one,
They're super profitable.
and we got the old
They
one.
paid for the rigging and the jigging and everything else years and years ago, so just keep making them.
Okay. All right. You've convinced me. It's okay. Does that help you out there, Arthur?
Not really.
Door latch.
Yeah, integrated door latch assembly. It's inside the door is your most likely culprit.
Yeah, it's the part that holds that door closed. And in both the front doors, they've got this door latch. But the driver's one, the key, when it moves it to lock and unlock, can control those electronics. So, I mean, this could be as simple as if you look on YouTube and figure out how to take that door panel off, which you can do yourself at home. Take the door panel off, unplug the door latch, and see if your problem goes away. If it does, you've
Diagnosed it.
diagnosed your problem, and you don't need the dealership to do it. Then you know what
Does
you
that
do.
make sense to you, Arthur?
Yeah, that makes sense because I called the dealership and they said,
Oh.
well, I actually went by a dealership and they said, well, we've never had that but one time, and we're looking at probably $500-600 just to
Diagnose it.
And
No.
I said, well, okay, well, I appreciate your time.
Get your buddies and a few beverages and YouTube, and you can do a diagnosis.
Say, I'm going to call those guys in the Under the Hood show. Maybe they could fix it.
Arthur, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. I have some advice, too, on taking the panel off of your door. One, be careful the first time, and then once you do it, it's easy. I was always really worried about doing it.
First time
there's-
you have to pull to a certain strength to pop the
Yeah.
clips, and you're
Yeah.
not sure if you're pulling too hard. Or
Yeah.
Get a panel popper. It's a little flat-bladed deal.
Love those.
That was my second piece
Yeah.
of advice. I think mine was $4 in the $4 bin. I saw one and got it, and it's invaluable.
But
You know what else is-
Well, I just say, do not assume if it's in the middle of the door and it's still tight that you got all the screws out.
Right.
Right. Or it might slide up. It might
Yes.
have a clip.
So
You know
that's
what
why
else
I like
that's-
going to YouTube, because there's going to be a stereo shop, a self-repair person, somebody that's got a video of pulling the door panel off.
There's
You know-
2 screws. Oh, and this one. That's what was on mine.
You know what else that panel popper is good for, Chris?
What's that?
When you want to pull that trim off your house and do your carpet and you don't want to damage your
Oh, sure.
trim, you just
Yeah, because it's just a little. You don't need a whole pry bar. You just need a little
No.
pry bar.
And the
Tiny
pry
little
bars
pry bar.
damage the paint
Yeah.
and the wood. And you just, with that thing, you squeeze. And one of our guys got another tool, and I had never seen one, never thought about
Ooh.
one. And I thought, that's $1 million idea for somebody who probably didn't get it. It's a hose remover tool, like the panel popper, but smaller. It's got a clamp. You put it on, squeeze it, and it grabs the pipe, grabs the hose, and then it pulls them apart. They don't have to twist. You can't, we can't get in there. It's really hard. And finally they come loose and you scrape your hands up.
Is it lots of sizes, like down to?
It's universal. It just grips different. So
I
lots
haven't
of
done that for a while. That sounds
Love
like a perfect
tools that
tool. Because
Yeah.
that's a small burr in the saddle is when those hoses won't break loose, and you're afraid you're going to break something else if you pull it the wrong angle.
One other piece of advice when you're taking a door panel off: once you do it a couple times, don't think that you got it without thinking, because there's gonna be plugs and stuff that you have to take off. And if you do it like the second or third time, you think you know what you're doing, and then you realize, oh, I didn't keep track of the plugs and where everything went because I thought I knew what I was doing. That's just my own. Maybe that's just me. Let's talk.
And just real quickly here, I'm going to get myself in trouble. We talked about the classic Silverado versus the other, and they can get something and just keep it going. And why wouldn't you? Because you can keep making money. If you guys are somebody that's tuned into our YouTube show, well, I don't know if I have time today. I can tell it quick. I got a quick story about something like that, but I just soon do it in the after show.
Okay.
about something like that, a
Okay.
continuing revenue stream
Oh.
that you would think, why wouldn't I just do a whole bunch of that?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, now I'm intrigued.
Yeah,
But we have Mark on the line.
I know.
He's
Well,
waiting
no,
to talk.
this is for the after show. It's
Okay.
on YouTube
Okay.
when we get done.
Today?
I'll do it quick, yeah.
You know, you
I do know I have an important
Okay.
meeting, but
All right.
now I've opened myself up to this, and I
Yeah.
started saying it after I forgot that I had a meeting right after this, but I can't leave people hanging like that.
we have a meeting after this too without you. So
I can tell it in 30 seconds.
no, you can't. I'll bet you $20 it takes you 4 minutes to even crack the story.
Nope.
Here we
Let's
go.
talk to Mark.
30 to 45
Mark,
seconds.
you're on the Under the Hood show. What can we do for you?
Hey guys, I have a 1962 Dodge Custom 880. I have the 361 V8 in it. The water system, the radiator builds up pressure, and the engine overheats. Took the thermostat out, but it still does the same thing. Where do I go from here?
You've got a cracked head, a cracked block, or a head gasket out. If it's building pressure like that right away,
Or a restriction because it's been apart and somebody didn't get something out.
the radiator wouldn't do that. You know, if it's overheating, and you probably haven't had a part, right, other than taking the thermostat out.
Right.
Okay.
I did notice that the water line going into the heater core is dry as a bone.
Yeah, that's probably because you've got exhaust gas pressures building up in there, and it's not allowing it to flow. So you can put an exhaust gas checker on it. It's a pretty cheap, inexpensive tool. You could purchase one off of Amazon for like $20 if you don't have access to one somewhere. And it's got a liquid in there that changes colors when it detects exhaust gases. So there's no way to tell if it's a head or a gasket or a block without tearing it down and starting to inspect stuff. All you can know for a fact is that you have an internal leak. Does the engine run pretty good? Have you been driving it around even though it's been a little overpressurized, or is it at the point where you can just run it and you shut it off?
No, it does run pretty good.
Okay.
Until it gets hot. Yes.
No one cylinder missing or anything? It's running smoothly?
Yes.
Okay, if you don't have any cylinders missing, you might try K-Seal. That's our partner that we talked about on the show many times. You'll hear the spots in the commercials too. K-Seal is designed to fill in small cracks on blocks and heads. And in fact, they used it in a Bugatti. You've heard us talk about that.
$2 million
Yeah,
Bugatti.
heard us talk about that in the ads. Well, you're not going to take apart a $2 million Bugatti because you want it to look like the original. You don't want to be loosening bolts and have marks on bolt heads and stuff. But the K-Seal, it's not going to clog the system like some of the other ones will out there. It is specifically designed to fix a problem like that permanently. So if you've got some small perforations in there, but it's still running well, you can use that to fix it. I mean, if you wanted to, you could pull the heads off it, look at the gaskets, and if they look horrible, clean everything up, have the heads machined if you need to, put it back together with new gaskets, and you might be good to go. But after that, if you find that you still have a leak, it does mean you've got a crack in a head and it's old enough, in a classic like that, or a block that's got a small crack. The K-Seal would be the way to go to try to seal that. And I'm betting you'd probably have some pretty good luck. Now with K-Seal, if you get on their website, it'll show you how to do it. If you had one cylinder that was causing the leakage, they actually pull the spark plug out of that cylinder so it doesn't pull fuel down into it, and it kills the compression. And then you can run the engine till warm with the K-Seal in it, put the spark plug back in. It shows how to do that to seal up some of those where you have difficulty. A lot of people say, well, just put some head gaskets in it. Well, you could try that. They may not be that expensive, but it's a lot of labor. On a classic, you're not probably running that much. You might want to try it. I would definitely think.
But
about
first,
doing
buy that gas tester. Just let's make sure.
Mm-hmm. Does that help you out
Make
there,
sure
Mark?
it's a head gasket.
Hey, we
Yeah,
got to talk
that's
to him
great.
about something else. We're missing something here.
Okay.
I got to know just a little bit about this car. Have you just acquired this car? Has it been in the family? And then we want to guess what color it is, because this is kind of a classic, and we like to do that.
Came right out of Michigan, right out of Detroit.
It's
So
not worth a whole lot. But,
no, but it's just a unique car.
Yeah, it was my father-in-law's. Sat in his shed for many years, didn't run. So he just recently passed away, and I thought it would be time to get that out and get her fired up. so it runs. Went through the brakes, and I was about ready to take her down the road, and it started overheating, and now I got another problem. So with your help, it sounds like I might be able to look at some different options here.
Well, let's just assume this car. Don't say answer it yet. That car is going to be like a silverish green color. What do you think, Chris?
I think gold.
Russ?
It's like dark gray, almost blackish gray.
All right, Mark, what
is it?
I don't know the exact what color they call it, but it's kind of like a mauve color.
Ooh.
Kind of a real light purple.
So none of us are right.
No, but we all kind of had, except for you, we had it righter than you did. You had very dark. We were kind of in the...
We just want him to be wrong because he has nailed these the last like 5
I was thinking
times.
the dark gray, kind of like the, not gray, but like the military. A lot of the Chryslers in that era were that color.
Because could it be that sitting around that long that it just totally rusted off the impeller and he has no flow? That doesn't happen on that something like that, does it?
Yeah. Could have an issue like that. That's why we're going to check the exhaust gas.
So don't just go start tearing this thing apart. Just do that test first.
Mark, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. That's the number here at the Under the Hood Show. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you.
Make a radio appointment each week to hear the Nordstrom's Under the Hood Show.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. Let's talk to Lee. Lee, you're on the Under the Hood Show. What can we do for you?
Hey, guys. I've got an '01 Chevy pickup with the 8.1 engine in it, and I do some pulling with it, and the oil calls for 530. And to me, that just seems really, really light. And I was wondering, what do you think about going to a heavier oil?
Do not do it.
Do not do it.
No. See, that engine, is the 8.1 is the more sophisticated big sister to the 454.
It's a 502.
Yeah. And
big.
It's based off the technology of the LS series engines. A lot. So you're using a higher technology, even though it's a big workhorse. And they're designing that stuff as they go forward with these higher engineered oils like we always talk about. And there's for emissions reasons, for flow in the way they've got the oil pump set up and everything else, they design it to use that viscosity of oil. And I would not change it.
We're not going after mileage on this one. So we're not worrying about mileage, right?
No, you can use a better oil in it, but don't change the weight. I mean, it'll have issues with the lifters and the top end and all sorts of stuff, but definitely with a one like that, you want to use a good oil in it. I would even put with the cam that's in that thing. I would even use a lift, a good additive in there, just something, because they do build a lot of heat.
Okay.
There you go.
Sam, I've also got an input idea for that guy with the 361 motor.
What do you got?
I've had a couple of them where the impellers do go bad, and I even had a new pump where the impeller fell off.
On an old one like that?
It would overheat. It would overheat right away.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we were chatting with him about, is let's check that exhaust gas. We went down that road, but then you want him to, let's make sure of that. Don't just start ripping stuff apart, because if you have no flow, you're going to get hot.
Yeah, and do you not have flow because you've got a head gasket out, and that would fail the exhaust gas check. But if it doesn't fail that, then it may not be moving.
Yep.
Lee, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. You guys remember, it wasn't that long ago. I can't quite remember exactly when it was. We had a call that wasn't a pickup.
Yeah, it's like the last call.
Yeah,
was
the
a
last one, and then all the rest.
Oh,
and
that was a car that weighed as much as a pickup.
They've been trucks of all kinds and all over the country, but all pickups. There's a lot of pickups out there. 866-594-4150. Let's go to Georgia and talk to Bob. You're on the End of the Hood Show. Bob, what can we do for you?
Good morning. I'd like to select a diagnostic scanner for an OBD2 car. and I have a couple of code readers, but they're not telling me what I need to know. I want to diagnose the cruise control won't come on and the evaporative system also. So are the higher price scanners better, or are they just more something?
No, not necessarily in all cases until you reach a certain point. I mean, I've got a $7,000 scanner that serves its purpose and does certain things. But as far as the base functions go, the reading codes, reading data, it works just like the $300 scanners for that part. You know, it's just as you get a little higher, the bidirectional controls, the types of cars it'll work on, different things like that. You can get a pretty good $300 or $400 scanner that'll work on many cars, be upgradable for many years, that you can get lots of stuff for, and then you don't feel like you're just locked into one car with it. Altel makes a great scanner that can be used on many situations like that, and it's fully upgradable. You don't have to get subscriptions in order to operate the thing for your vehicle. Checking an evap system, you know, Chris has got just a handheld Bluetooth, one from Fixed, U-Scan, different ones that you've got to look. We suggest looking at the review videos on YouTube if you're going to get a cheaper one, like a $100 Bluetooth plug-in one for a phone, because that will tell you in real time, will it work to turn on certain things and read things like your evaporative emission systems. Maybe you want to close the vent valve or the purge valve, and you can't do that with a lot of Bluetooth scanners. Some you can, some allows it. So that's where you got to get into a little higher end regular handheld scanner, just a dedicated box. But also verify that that one will do what you want to, because you don't want to end up purchasing one, then they're usually not returnable. If you buy it and it does not do what you want to do by being able to do, they call them bidirectional controls, and you want control of the evaporative emission system and the cruise control functions.
So what Bob needs to do is he needs to just go find a scanner that does exactly what he needs. In this case, get that one, and that's the one he's going to be living with.
Right, and it'll do, if it does that much on this car,
exactly.
it's going to do a lot of other
It'll
cars.
do most other things he needs to.
Does that help you out there, Bob?
It sure does. Thank you.
Thanks very much for the call. 866-594-4150. Let's see if we can get Tom before the top here. Tom, you're on the Under the Hood Show. What can we do for you?
I got two pickup trucks. I got a 2012 Ram. I bought at a dealership used, and there's no maintenance history on it. I need an oil change, but I don't know what kind of oil, if they went ahead and used synthetic or not. Can you switch back and forth?
Well, I wouldn't go back and forth, but you can pick one and then stick with it from now on, and you should be fine. You know, you've got an older one. If it's got some miles, you could get the high mileage formula oil and get a synthetic. Those engines, they like good oil, and they like frequent oil changes to keep them going. We've sold plenty of engines for them, so they're a great engine. But yes, keep the oil changed. We'd suggest a synthetic oil that's made for high mileage vehicles to protect the seals.
Is there any way you can ask your second question in 10 seconds?
Yeah. I got an oil leak in the back of the engine, and lately I can't get into reverse, and my mechanic thinks that I might be dripping on an electrical connection between the engine and the tranny.
That is a possibility. Look at the connection, have them clean it up, make sure the connection is solid and verified, and then move it out of the way of that oil leak, because you should be able to move it with some zip ties or something. And then if you can verify that it's shifting fine, then I would go after that oil leak and get it fixed.
Find out what the oil leak is. Make sure it's not a transmission fluid leak from the front seal of the transmission or something like that, and you've got another problem that you're being hopeful.
That'll do it for this hour of the Under the Hood Show. Hour 2 is coming up next. 866-594-4150. You're listening to the Under the Hood Show.
You're listening to the Nordstrom's Under the Hood Show with the Motor Medics, Shannon Nordstrom and Russ the Super Tech Evans. Shannon is an ASE engine and parts specialist. And Russ is an ASE Master Certified Technician with extensive factory drivability training. Join the Motor Medics for fun and free automotive advice with real-world solutions to everyday automotive problems. The Under the Hood Show is heard weekly on this and other great radio stations across the U.S. Find out how you can participate in the show by visiting underthehoodshow.com.
With Russ Evans, this is Shannon Nordstrom, thanking you for tuning in to the Nordstrom's Under the Hood Show. Have a great day, and remember, PTLA.
The opinions heard on this program, based on the many years of experience of Russ and Shannon, are offered for entertainment value only and as a guide to your repair needs. No claim to repair or cause is given or implied. Always consult with your own certified technician and follow all safety procedures before attempting any repair. To be a part of the show, call 866-594-4150. Under the Hood is produced by Prairie House Productions. All content is the property of Nordstrom's Automotive Incorporated and may not be used without our permission. Copyright Nordstrom's Automotive, Inc. Now, let's go under the hood with the Nordstrom's Motor Medics.
Welcome to the Under the Hood Show. We are glad to have you with us. Russ Evans is here to answer your automotive questions.
Thanks for joining us under the hood.
Shannon Nordstrom is here to do the same.
Welcome, Hoodies. Thanks for tuning in so we can help you tune up.
I'm Chris Carter here to answer your calls at 866-594-4150. 866-594-4150. We have Jim who's been waiting, but before I do that, I want to say two things. First of all, no accents when I say this next thing. I don't want to hear any accents out of you two. Andrew from Western Australia is checking in, watching the live feed on Facebook and says hello.
Hello.
What's up?
Yep. Okay, good. Now,
how's everything down under?
Yeah. That's fine. So
just don't go to an accent.
Yeah, just give it your regular Fargo accent.
Yeah, I'm bad at the accent, and you're just going to stop me from it.
Yes. And secondly, we're going to talk to Jim now. And when we talk to Jim,
no tent ref.
Don't ask
it's
about
you.
the tent.
It's you, not us. It's you.
Jim in Oregon, you're on the Under the Hood Show. What can we do for you?
Thanks, Chris.
You bet.
I have a 2001 Pontiac Aztec GT front-wheel drive. It's got the 3400 engine in it. It's got 105,000 miles, and I love this car. Last year, the GMC Buick dealership went in under the dash to fix the airflow motor. It directs where the airflow goes in your cabin. And that started it throwing a code, and the airbag light started periodically coming on. And it goes on and off, but now it's mostly on. I've taken it back to the dealership. I've also taken it to another shop that specializes in electronic problems. And the code says that the airbag in the passenger seat is bad. And nobody wants to touch it.
Mm-mm.
So am I just stuck with this and I just live with it?
Maybe. If it's saying your passenger, it's saying passenger presence system, isn't it?
What the code is?
Yeah, does it say passenger presence system, which is going to be that passenger seat probably? Tells you when somebody's sitting in that seat, turns the light on.
No, the light is always on, whether somebody's sitting there or not.
No, I mean it activates the passenger airbag by somebody sitting in the seat, and if there's a child in that seat, then it's not going to turn on the airbag because of weight. So it's called a passenger presence system. It had a lot of problems with the connector under the seat. If you move the seat all the way forward and find the yellow connector underneath it, and you unplug it, and plug it back in a couple times, see if your light goes off. If it does, it might just be able to repair that connector. Sometimes you can get the connectors and make some repairs, but that was a huge problem. That connector would just get a weak connection to it, and it would keep turning that light on. I don't think them removing the dash would have anything to do with that. I know for a fact that the wiring goes from under the floorboard there to the seat. It doesn't go up into the dash for the passenger presence system. So if they took the dash out and that's the only code you have, it shouldn't matter. Now, if it was a passenger airbag code,
then you'd be something different. We'd have a different conversation.
That's different. And I've had the whole dash out of those vehicles several times, and there's nothing for the seat that goes up there. So I'd almost bet you probably got to wire connector. That's
It's a
going
lot
bad
the
in
same
seat.
system as a Chevy Venture van,
Equinox.
I mean, a lot of that stuff in that area used the same type of system.
Terrain. They all had that same thing under the floorboard. So I think it can be fixed. You're going to have somebody that works on airbags do it.
Because here's the end. I mean, from what we know, the airbag itself, unless the vehicle has been wet or had some sort of environmental intrusion, is probably not bad. I mean, it's probably not a problem at all. The moving parts are the connector wires that go to the seat, and for the presence system, which they started actually in 01, I think, was the first year of that. Might even have been 02 on some models.
Yeah, and the seat moves all the time, so it's...
Yeah, so that would be one place. And then, sometimes even the connectors to the seat belts can be part of that loop in that circuit. And so I would just do some inspection, and maybe underneath the carpet there's a wiring issue. Something got pinched. Something has gotten wet from... maybe you went out camping with the Aztec.
Maybe it has a tent. Is that what you're... Yeah, I know.
I said he was going to go camping.
Yeah, I know
I
what you
didn't
meant.
say anything about that.
We all knew what you meant.
No. Hey, Chris, what color is his Aztec? Because they didn't make a lot of colors.
I'm hoping
This
it's
is
yellow.
getting to be a classic. We got to guess color.
I'm hoping it's yellow.
You're hoping it's yellow?
Yeah, because that's what it should be.
What do you think?
Or that orange.
It's a GT, so it's white or red, and I'm going to have to pick one of the two.
Oh.
I'm going to say it's blue.
I think it's maroon.
Maroon. What color is the Aztec, Jim?
It's red.
All right.
You're on a losing streak now, and you actually could have had that
Well,
one.
the GT, they had them in red, they had them in white, they had them in blue.
I think you can get them in all colors. I think.
No, and the GT, I think you could only get the certain colors.
I don't know.
They had a really nice bronze color on them.
Yeah.
But not the GT.
You know one thing that's for sure on an Aztec? The tent was always the same color.
Was it?
Yeah, you couldn't get.
Jim,
I've never seen one.
Does it have
Well,
the
let
tent?
me ask you. Yeah, I do.
Okay, all right.
He does have a tent.
Yeah.
Hey, can I ask? Is this something I can do? That take a look at that.
Yeah.
At that connector.
Yeah, it's yellow.
100% you can do this.
Look at it, make sure it's plugged in.
And
Unplug it.
and
plug
I'll
it
just
back
say this, and you're probably thinking, I don't want to touch these wires. I'm gonna set something off. You would have to have a major fault in your system, because it takes 3 different things to happen basically for that airbag to deploy. So
in. One is you messing with the wires.
No, you're unplugging and replugging those connectors to that seat are going to be totally safe for you to do by yourself.
Especially because it'll be in the back, won't he? When he
Well,
slides the
behind
seat.
it?
Yeah, I mean, he'll slide the seat forward and then find
I will admit, I'm always mindful of where the airbag deploys.
Right.
Regardless.
Yeah.
I'm always mindful of how my arms are compared to my face, but
For a minute.
and then you kind of forget.
Yes, exactly.
But as a rule, he's going to unplug those wires, check them out, and not have any problems.
Here's what I would do. I'd unplug them and I'd go and then plug
Sure.
it back in.
You say that about as much as I bring up tent on an Aztec.
Yeah, it's totally. It's like a multi-tool. It's like a Leatherman tool in your mouth. You just works on video games.
Is that where it all
Works when you
started?
got
Was with
hair in your
Didn't
face.
it all start with the old Commodore games and stuff where you'd blow on them, or Ataris or
Atari 2600.
Yeah, is that where that all started from, or was it before that even?
It was probably before that too. I don't know how far.
Sega.
I don't know how far.
I learned on the old Atari, if you pull the cartridge out and put it back in 4 or 5 times real quick and you get it just right, then you could play everything super fast. You ever do that one, Chris?
I think we did.
Yeah.
Yes, I think we
Okay.
did.
It wasn't just me, because you could
My
figure
sister and I, Suzette more than Yvette, we played that stuff just like
yeah, it would just
crazy.
weird it out and it would go fast.
My parents never complained about us gaming in the basement. I just think about that.
It's because you didn't do it for
Because you were
18
playing
hours. I don't
Pong
think.
and
Yeah.
you get bored with that.
We weren't. Yeah, we didn't have rifles.
Once you got exactly. Once you got past the alligators on Pitfall, it was kind of.
Pitfall. I want to play that.
That was the greatest. Jim, thanks very much for the call. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you. 866-594-4150.
Car feeling ill? Don't want to spread it to your wallet? Call the Motor Medics now for free advice.
866-594-4150. Let's go to Michigan and talk to Randy. You're on the End of the Hood Show. Randy, what can we do for you?
Hi, how's it going?
Good.
Great.
Go ahead.
Are you there?
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, you threw me off when you said Michigan. I'm in Wisconsin. But anyway, I'm like,
It's all the
when
same
did
to
I go
us, Randy. We're from Minnesota and South
Yeah.
Dakota. You're all just one big,
One big hand.
yeah, one big Packer
One
fan
big happy-
nation.
No, we're not a pack. Anyway, yeah, I got a 2005 Chevy Silverado half-ton Z71, and I got a service airbag light on my marquee, and the light is on also. And I want to discontinue the airbag system altogether, and I want to do that safely so it doesn't deploy by accident. What's the best way to do that?
Well, the light's on, so you've disabled it safely. If the
Okay,
light, if the
light's
light's on, it means it's not going to operate. Yeah, if you
How do I get the light to go off?
you don't.
You
The-
make
the-
it fixed
the
and it'll
light,
be active. Yeah.
The light comes on. If you take the airbag module out of the vehicle and throw it away, the light's going to come on because the module is what tells the light to turn off in the dash.
Right.
So,
Okay.
you've got airbags in it. They're there for safety legally. No one can disable them from the vehicle
Okay.
for any reason. If you own it yourself, well, I guess you could do whatever you want. They've got to come catch you, but I haven't heard of them coming after the
Right.
people in the vehicle. But I mean, there's all sorts of
I
crazy stuff that could go along with that. But yeah, the light stays on when you disable the system.
If you knew you could fix it easily, would you? Or are you just like an anti-airbag?
Oh yeah, yeah, I would.
It's probably
I would. But,
it's probably a
it's
front crash sensor.
$185.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's $185 for each one of them sensors. I'm like, that's a lot of money.
Here's what I would do. You are in Wisconsin, and I do know that in Wisconsin, what part of Wisconsin are you from?
Green Bay.
Oh, you can fix it with cheese.
There are some people out there that have self-service facilities, self-service parts facilities, and there is going to be a Silverado, a Tahoe, a Yukon, an Escalade.
There's going to be
something-
80 of them.
There's
Big
going to be
part number on
something
that
like that
sensor.
out there, and you can just go out and get one of those sensors, and you'll probably have to pay about $6 for it, plus the cost of admission, and
Right.
just match the part number on the sensor and replace it.
Yeah, I can do that.
That
All
would
right.
be
Now,
a very affordable fix, and also check the wiring.
Right. I put a scanner on it, and it gives me a relatively close location. It's a cheap scanner. But my question is, if I can bring my ohm meter to find a good one, and it'll read all zeros when I put the ohm meter on it. And
No.
That way the circuit's open.
No, it won't. It's they're electronic, so they're not going to give you a good reading like that. I just grab them, grab a couple of each side. They're cheap. Once you get in there, you'll be able to get them. But
And they don't go bad that often.
no, but I mean, we see a few of them here and there. But your scanner will say sensor 1, sensor 2. 1's on the driver's side, 2's on the passenger side for front impact sensor. But yeah, you can just take a couple of each off, and then you have some spares.
And you might physically look at your ones you have now, and you might find one that has a bunch of corrosion by it, or some environmental view that you can see that just doesn't look good, or it's been. You can see that the case is weeping because maybe its seal got broken and then moisture's gotten inside of it. But sometimes you can't see a thing. But just replace it.
There you go. Randy, thanks very much for the call.
They're yellow, look a lot like
they're-
cheese.
866-594.
The season's about to open, and the first game is
4150.
Minnesota Green Bay.
How exciting!
I'm going to be there.
Are you?
Yeah.
We have we're giving away tickets at work if you can guess the amount of change in the jar. I'm trying to recruit people who don't care to pick and guess so I can have their tickets.
Do they allow you to weigh it?
No, I don't think there's any touching of it. You have to-
$263.18.5.
How big's the jar?
Not very big, and it's only like quarter filled. It's kind of a
Oh, that's dirty.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
You know what you should do? You should throw in one of those Canadian half cents. Because then if two people got the exact, somebody said, 18 and a half cents. Well, what do you mean a half cent? There's a half penny in there.
Here's what I'm thinking. Here's what I think I'm going to do.
What are you going to do?
I'm going to go get a bunch of change, like a handful of change, and $100 bill. Drop the $100 bill in there, put some change on top of it, and then just guess $101 because it's the closest without going over.
Oh.
Everybody else will think it's just change, but I've dropped a $100 bill in there.
My dad is famous for putting money bags together with change that we find in cars.
It was so great at the Christmas
And
party.
last night we had the Sioux Falls Corvette Club out here. My mom and dad hosted as their final kind of end of the summer meeting, and they had a huge turnout. And it was nice of the, I got this showing up on the screen here, the Sioux Falls Corvette Club did recognize the Under the Hood show.
Really?
With a nice plaque.
Cool.
Because
Nice.
we talked about some of their events that they had, and they were pretty stoked about that. And so a bunch of really nice people. Gotten to know a lot of them just vicariously through my parents. But he had a ladies' money bag and a men's money bag. And this is all change that we've found in cars. And they had to guess the weight of it. And one of the gentlemen that was there happened to be a former, well, he's been involved in a lot of stuff legally, but good legal stuff. But he was involved in armored cars. And he said how they ran by weight on most everything that they had.
Yeah. We measured bolts and nuts that way at a company.
And so he gave a reference to how much a whatever of quarters would weigh and what it was worth, how much money it was. And so these bags always surprise us how much they add up to, because he just fills them up and then people got to guess the weight, and whoever's the closest, and they tell later what they won. And sometimes it's $150. Sometimes it's like, holy smokes, there's $430 in there. But he also will throw a $5 bill in there every once in a while, or maybe even a drill bit that he didn't get out when he cleaned it all. And so it's just always funny.
866-594-4150. Let's go to Mississippi and talk to Ava. Ava, you're on the Under the Hood show. What can we do for you?
Good morning. I'm a frequent listener on
Thank
the
you.
program.
Thank you.
And I have a 2006 Honda Accord sedan that's with 160,000 miles on it. It is a great car. I'm a new widow, and this is the reason why I'm calling. My husband was wanting me to sell the car, but it hasn't given me any trouble. I have replaced, of course, batteries, had my timing changed, and done all the necessary work on the car. There's a strut in the back. Got to have the strut, I heard, changed. But other than that, a leak in my radiator. So I've had little things like that fixed. I just don't know. I really don't want to sell the car. I don't want to try to get another one. And I was just wondering, how much life do I have in this car, do you think? And is it safe to, take out of town over, 200 miles? That's my question.
Yes.
Yeah, they're good cars. My mom had one of those until she just said, yeah, it's going to be my last car. And it was. And then it moved along to a grandkid who kept driving it. And then we sold it after that. So the things I worry about on those cars is make sure that the fluids stay full, the oil's changed regularly, and transmission fluid when it's time to be done. But that timing belt, if the timing belt goes, the engine's done. But with a good timing belt in it, I've seen these cars make it 300,000 miles. You're probably going to put a fuel pump in it at some point. It probably just won't start one morning, and they'll say, yeah, your fuel pump's out, put that in. But comparing that to buying another car, if you spend $5,000 on this car over the next 10 years, that's not a lot of money compared to what it would cost if you sell this car right now and put it together with another $20,000 to get a newer car. Their value is going up. They're good cars. That's one that we didn't see a lot of issues with engines and transmissions.
Yeah, and you probably don't have the corrosion issues we have in our part of the world, because that's what will kill those cars up in our part of the world is the rust in the underbody and the unibody and the subframes and the control arms. But you're probably not dealing with a lot of corrosion or rust issues, correct?
No, we're dealing with potholes.
Yep.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I have to repair. I have to buy new tires because the potholes just absolutely are eating us up down here.
Well, you've got the heat and the flooding right now, right? That's washing all the roads away. Yeah,
And we also have in Jackson. We have right now a city water problem. We're having a boil water alert.
we just heard that on the radio.
Oh, it's awful. It's
Are you
awful.
from
Hey, we'll
Jackson?
make it through. I've lived here for 45 years. Yeah,
Oh,
but I'm
my.
from Mississippi. Lived here all my life. Yeah, here and about. And it's right now it's hot.
Yeah, well, we feel for you folks down there what you're going through right now with that. We just like I said, it's been on our news, and it's just boy, there's different things around all parts of the country right now, and that's a tough one. But that is a good solid car that we encourage people to look for those types of Honda Accords and different things to get for what could be a dependable vehicle that doesn't cost as much as spending $30,000 or $20,000. And so I would be in no rush to get rid of it.
Thanks very much for the call. 866-594-4150. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you on the Under the Hood Show. 866-594-4150.
Get your planner out right now and schedule your next radio appointment with the Motor Medics.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. If you subscribe to our YouTube channel and join the Hoodie fan club at underthehoodshow.com, you could win a hoodie.
Like Keith Nelson, who's just won himself a large hoodie, courtesy of us and our friends over at Universal Technical Institute, uti.edu. Check them out. Check into their financial assistance, their financial aid program. Check out their help meandering around the GI Bill portion that they have. There are multiple campuses. And you listen to the show. You know they're the best when it comes to automotive training, so check them out, uti.edu.
If you go to school there and you mention Under the Hood, do we get like a little taste? Just a little bit of that FSA,
a little kickback?
Yeah.
They say, yeah, those guys are great. And then the other guy next to him or girl says, oh, what? Under the Hood? Who are they? And then, it grows. Our signs are up throughout their campuses. So, hey, if you've gone to Universal Technical Institute, call the show. We're here for you. If you have questions out there in the automotive field.
You're at UTI and you got a picture of one of our signs you want to send us, just like as a, kind of like a selfie by our sign, and send it to us.
Bonus hoodie.
We'll put it on the page.
If you're a parent who had a kid that went to UTI, moved out, and is now successful, give us a little taste of that money you're saving by not having them. I mean,
you're all about the kickback right now, aren't you?
Just let us know. That's the important. We like that.
Go to Minnesota and talk to Rydell. You're on the Under the Hood Show, Rydell. What can we do for you?
Yes, I had got a Suzuki motorcycle, gas tank, rusted. I cleaned it. Some guy told me if I put something in there, added some screws and, shook it and did all that, but it's still plugging up and it won't run. So I wonder if you guys got some solution that a guy can pour in there that cleans a old gas tank decently.
Oh,
yep.
Didn't we have to do this on our old forklift?
God, we've done it on a lot of everything.
We got to sell that yet.
Is it just Coca-Cola? Is that the trick?
No, no.
Just checking.
No, get something delicious. Go down to your local grocery store. Buy by bulk. If it's a 2-gallon tank, you need enough to fill. You need to find out how much goes in the tank to fill it, and then you can drink what's left over. It's that good. So get yourself some apple cider vinegar, and you pour it in the tank until it's completely full. Fill it up to the top. Put your hand over it. Because it's safe. It's apple cider vinegar. Turn it upside down. Turn it back a couple times to get all the air bubbles out of it. Top it off. Do it again a couple times because it's safe. It's just vinegar. And then once it's 100% full to the top, let that thing sit there.
Oh.
No, you've got it off the pipe.
I know.
Let it sit. And I mean let it sit for a long time because the vinegar's not going to eat through the tank. You let it sit. You might have to let it sit a week, maybe longer. But it's going to clean. You'll be able to look down at the metal part inside the tank. You'll be able to tip it up a little bit and see if there's, when it gets bare, if it's completely clean. But it will turn that kind of whitish color like brand new steel. Once it gets to that point, let it sit a while because it's not, like I said, it's not going to eat through the tank. It's just vinegar, but it will eat away at the rusty stuff. And then you can always pour that vinegar out into a bucket. And if you look inside and say, yeah, it's still got a tiny little bit in there, pour the same stuff back in it again. It's still working. The acidity in there will eat away at that rust. Now, once you have it all out of there, we strongly suggest one of two things, because it's going to rust pretty quickly. If you're not going to use the tank for a while, you need to put some kind of oil in there and coat the whole thing to keep it from rusting. Or they do sell a liner kit you can buy off the internet. I don't even know that auto parts stores sell it anymore, but you pour it in and you just roll the tank around, and this stuff will coat the inside of the tank and seal it so it won't rust again. And it takes a couple days to dry.
I would do that anyway.
Yeah, you can get the gas tank liner
you know
kits from who is it? POR 15. They do the rust proofing paint and stuff. That'll work. And then to keep that thing clean for the future, you can get additives to go in to your tank, the fuel stabilizers that contain. Make sure you pick a fuel stabilizer that contains a rust preventative. The vapors from it will be forever in the tank as it's running, and it'll keep the carburetor clean, but it'll also keep the rust from forming. You know, I pour that in my Model T, which is not always full, and the vapors keep the top of the tank from rusting above the fuel line, which is great. Keeps your whole fuel system rust-free. No brand on that. You're just going to have to pick one up. But, yeah, use that apple cider vinegar. I mean, you'll find that if you got a rusty wrench or something, you throw it in there.
Does it have to be apple cider?
Or just vinegar?
No, you want to use the apple cider vinegar. Regular vinegar, it's I think it corrodes more, if I remember. There was something about it. There's something in there that's what you want to use. But if you have if you've got a wrench that's lightly rusted and you get the tank that's lightly rusted, throw that wrench in a bucket of something next to it, a little margarine tub, and watch it. When that's clean, you know that your tank's going to be, they're going to take about the same amount of time to clean.
Martha Stewart over here has done an amazing job today.
Then bake yourself an apple pie.
Then don't use the cider vinegar.
No, you
afterwards.
cannot drink
Right.
the vinegar when you're done, because the rust is the contaminant. You don't.
Right.
It's not.
One of our drivers went down yesterday to get a biannual DOT physical, and as he
Did
was
they
talking
make
to him,
him do the vinegar and
no,
turn
as they
him
were
upside
talking to
down?
him, the guy said he was from Nordstrom's, and he goes, is that where they do the Under the Hood show? And the doctor was like, he goes, I love that show. I listen to it all the time. He goes, that Russ is so smart. He said, he was so smart. He goes, he's smarter than me, and I'm a doctor, or something like that.
Whatever.
And you have to ask Bruce. He was telling Bruce this yesterday.
Now bend over and cough.
It was a DOT physical. I don't think they were doing that. Do they do that? I haven't had one for a while. So
Does that help you out there, right now?
That does, and I enjoy your show very much. Thank you very much. I'll do her.
Thanks a lot. Let us know. Let me and Shannon know how it goes. Now, if you were putting the cider vinegar in your tank, all right, so leaving rust, what would you do? You pour it. What would be your process?
Just exactly what he said.
Take the
Really?
gas out
I would
first.
pour it in. I would pour like a quarter in, and then I would shake it.
Oh.
And then I couldn't just fill it up and allow it to fill naturally and just turn it upside down. I'd have to agitate it.
He's already tried to do some cleaning, so he might want to put some
That's
in
a
it,
good point.
shake it, dump it out to get whatever.
And there are times it's bad enough you're not going to win.
Oh, you'll always win. I mean, you might end up with a hole in the tank, but
Yeah,
you'll
that's
get
eventually it rusts out the side.
You will remove the rust. Because I've got a new tank for my Model T,
So
but
if
I've
the
had
rust-
the vinegar.
okay.
We had the original one, which I still have for whatever reason. That one was so bad that originally we had that full of apple cider vinegar for about 3 months, and it cleaned it. But then it sat for all those years from Texas till I got it, and I went, boy, this is getting thin, and that's a thick steel tank. But it
Yeah.
was starting to get thin, so I just said, no, I hang it on the wall and get another tank, because the tank was exact reproduction, and it was like $200. It's like, just get a tank. But that stuff is great. It'll clean radiators that are rusted. If you got an old classic and you want to clean your radiator up, apple cider vinegar. And it's environmentally
Good
friendly.
on salad if you use it with a little
Yeah.
oil, just cooking oil, canola oil, not Not oil from
Canola, man, that's a
We should
dirty
stop
oil.
using oil and vinegar references
Stop.
interchangeably.
Stop
Let's
eating
just
those
savor
rancid oil,
this
Chris.
call.
Chris.
866-594-4150. Let's talk to young A. Kim. You're on the Under the Hood show. What can we do for you?
Hi. Thanks for taking my call, by the way.
You bet.
I have a car. Yeah, I have a car, Audi A5. I purchased it in 2010. So technically, I bought it in 2009 fall. And I've been driving and enjoying this car for many, many years. And it's currently 114,000 miles on it. I'm considering possibly getting an electric vehicle. I just want to have some thoughts on that and what the reliability that I have for my current car, how long I can still drive on it versus getting a new electric vehicle. If I go route with the electric vehicle, what electric vehicle possibly would be a safe route to do it? So that sort of question.
What part of the world are you living in?
I'm in the South Dakota Falls.
Okay.
All right.
Because that's going to make a difference on where you can charge it. A lot of different things. How many miles to work? If you're driving, like in a day, how many miles just in general do you drive?
About 100 miles.
100 miles a day?
100 miles for a round trip. Yep.
Okay. Well, that gives you a lot of options because if you're limited to, let's say, 200 miles or less a day, you can fully charge a car at home. If you're down to 100 miles without a fast charger, you can charge your car overnight with current plugins that are in your house and wouldn't have to spend the money on the extra charger. But an extra charger is always good because if you decided, let's say one day you're going to go from Sioux Falls to Aberdeen and you charge it when you're up there and you turn around and come back and you want that thing charged before you get up to go somewhere in the morning, you're going to want the fast charger to charge it. So that is a good option. But there are a lot of cars. Nissan Leaf, bad option. Very low range, and they're affordable. There's quite a few of them out there you can get, but a lot of people have purchased them that I know. I've had friends that get them, and they weren't satisfied with the range they got.
The newer
on
ones, though, I think are...
They're a little better.
Yeah.
But they're made to be a shorter range car. Ones that will get more range, there's more and more coming out all the time. Toyota's got one coming out now.
2023 models, 40% of the vehicles are electric.
Mm-hmm.
So now that the amount, the models, I should say, I don't know if, but there's a lot of choices.
There are a lot of choices. You know, I mean,
Now, are they all available to you? That's another
well,
question.
right now you've got a 2010 Audi A5. If you want to be in that same kind of class of car, the BMW electric, they've got a few models. Those are nice cars. You can kind of pick the price range you want on them. They've all got pretty decent range. And some of them, with the incentives, will come with an electric charger, the fast charger. They will install it for you if you're buying a brand new car. If you buy a used one, they typically don't. They're safe. They're reliable, but you've got, and batteries are typically about a 10-year lifespan on most of them is what we've seen. You just got to go by the range and how far you plan on driving it. If you plan on taking out of town, you got to look. I've passed 2 cars in this last 7 days of driving, Teslas. One had a Pennsylvania plate, one had a New York plate, which means they went an awful long way to get across the country, and they obviously found a way to charge it just fine.
Sioux Valley Energy, who's somebody that we work with, they're having a drive event.
There you go.
September. I had to look it up on my phone here because I wanted to get the details. That's what people. If you saw me go into my phone, Thursday, September 29th, here locally in town at the WH Lines Fairgrounds from 4 to 7 o'clock, they're going to have a variety of electric vehicles out there that people can drive, get questions answered, and learn about it. And they've done this before, but
motorcycles too.
Yeah, motorcycles too. This is going to be a bigger event. The city of Sioux Falls is involved. Xcel Energy also is involved.
They're going to have the autocross course set up so you can rip it?
I don't think so.
Okay, just check.
But Sioux Valley Energy also has a web page that you can go to that says, is an EV right for you? And now this is an electric company putting this out because they want to be able to be ready for these things, but they also are a beneficiary of such a thing.
Right.
Because if in the right area of the country, in the right situation, we do know right now as technology makes a lot of sense. But boy, would it be sad if you're in some of these areas of the country where they're telling you not to charge your EV because they don't have enough power grid, and
Right.
it just there's a lot happening yet. It's a moving target, but the technology is coming. It's not going away. And like I said, there's an event where you can go yourself and test it out. Now, as far as your car, that Audi A5, we get nervous with those cars just because the cost of repair is so much. But if it is running good, working smooth, let somebody do kind of just a overview inspection along with the next oil change. Maybe don't go to a quick lube. Maybe go to a German car repair place that specializes in German car repair. Not even necessarily the dealer. And have them just say, okay, what do I need to watch out for here? But those cars, we got friends that have them. They've driven them to 130, 150 before they have a more expensive problem.
And more expensive just because
it's just
when you're fixing it,
they're
it's
expensive.
just more.
They're really
Yeah.
expensive to work on.
Thanks very much for the call. 866-594-4150. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you on the Under the Hood Show.
Prepare to learn something. You're going under the hood.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. It works at least nationwide, also in Canada, sometimes from Malta, sometimes not. It does work from North Dakota, though. Let's talk to Mark. You're on the Under the Hood Show. What can we do for you?
Hey, I got a 3.6 Dodge and a 2014 Durango, 85,000 miles, give or take. I replaced the head on one side because we had some code or whatever, and that's what the mechanic said. Now on the other side, I got that lifter noise. It's common, I guess, for these noises, but I had the mechanic came and put a stethoscope on it, and he goes, nope, that ain't your lifters. What you're getting is fuel injector rattle. And I'm like, I've never heard of that. They just put some cleaner in there, and it should be okay.
Or an
Your
injector.
thoughts?
Yeah, we've seen both. We've seen fuel system cleaner, like the Berryman B12 that we talk about on the show. We've seen that clean them up. When that doesn't clean it up, sometimes you got to put an injector in. But yeah, if you've got an injector that's dripping a little bit, it's not spraying real well, it's dripping, it'll cause pre-ignition, detonation, because it's dropping fuel and it doesn't need to be in. So it can go off and rattle a little bit. So try the injector cleaner first. Try the Berryman B12 Chem Tool in there, run a couple tanks through it, see if that clears it up. If it doesn't, you're going to have to isolate which cylinder it is by disabling injectors or spark plugs and then swapping them out.
Were you, when you replaced the head, were you following spark plugs?
No, it was actually running pretty fair. It just would throw an engine code, and then every time it threw an engine code, you couldn't use your remote start in the wintertime, or otherwise I would have probably ran it.
Yeah, it was probably throwing an engine code for a random misfire.
Yep, that sounds right.
Yeah, because they will leak a little bit, they crack, and then they'll drop some antifreeze into the cylinder, and then it causes it to misfire. We had the same problem on a Jeep Wrangler with the same engine, and they couldn't get a head at the time. Ended up putting a whole new motor in it, but there was a string of them. They had quite a bit of that going on. It's the same engine basically that is in there.
Mark, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. Let's go to Michigan and talk to June. You're on the End of the Hood Show. June, what can we do for you?
Hey, I was wondering if you could answer me a question. I have an Equinox that's an '05, and it runs really good. And but I try to keep it up. But when I went down to get my oil change, it was black. So the gentleman told me that I need my engine washed out. And I don't know out of all the cars I've ever had, I don't know. I've never had to do that, so I don't know what that consists of.
Well,
can you help me out there?
Sure can. Those engines have had a lot of oil system problems, which can result in failure with timing chain issues, piston ring issues, sticking, and things like that. So it's really important to change the oil more often. And we found that the customers of ours and the listeners that have the best luck are ones that are going about every 3 months, 3,000 miles to change it. If they've gone over that, or you've got a lot of shorter trips. So you're saying, well, I change it at 3,000 miles, but that's every 9 months or a year. No, you still got to be shorter on the months as well. So you can use oil system cleaner in that engine every time you change the oil. You pour it in, you drive about 5-10 miles, and then you have it changed. So what we suggest to people is if you're doing it yourself, if the Jiffy Lube or Quaker State, whoever it is down the street where you change it at, or even the dealership is 10 minutes away, you pour it into the engine, start it up, you drive it to where you're going, have them change
where
the
you
oil.
pour in the oil.
Yep, just have them change it. And if they say, boy, your oil's looking really dirty this time, you should consider doing it. It's like, well, that's because I put oil system cleaner in it before I come to you every time to clean it out. And I go, okay. But that motor flush, they do have a flushing system that some people use. They actually flush the oil out of the engine and try to clean it. Those can help clean a really dirty engine, but we found just using oil system cleaner in there every time you change your oil, if you've got one that's become really dirty, that does the same thing, and it's way cheaper.
Our partners are with Justice Brothers. They have one that works very well.
We use it a lot.
Yeah, and it's like I said, it's self-remedy. You can do it yourself. Make sure you got an appointment on the other end, though, because you don't want to drive around too long with it after you've done this.
No, you
got to
make
sure you got an
Not long
appointment
at
on the
all.
other end.
No.
So you know that you're just using it for like that 10-mile, 15-mile drive or 20-mile drive at the most, what it might be.
That
That's what I usually know, how long to drive, before I went back. And then go back and get my oil changed.
Yeah, then have them do the oil change. So when you're up for your next oil change, just do that right before the oil change, and like Russ said, maybe do that a couple times in a row, and then test it after that on your next oil change and see if it looks cleaner.
Have you had the oil change since that? Have you done the oil change? Or did you just wait?
Yeah, I had my oil changed, and then when I went back to get it checked, he said it's really dark, and you need to, get your engine clean. And I'm like, okay, I've never done that.
Well, this is something you can buy for probably $15 or less.
Yeah.
And pour it in yourself, and then you pay your same cost for your oil change like you always do.
So what she should do right now is that, and then go have the oil changed again.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
If she's getting, I don't know, put 1,500 miles on your oil first, and then go do it. If you just changed your oil, don't dump it all out right away. You don't need. I don't think she needs to be in that big of a rush.
No, and run that oil system cleaner. Don't run it in there any more than 10 minutes.
Okay.
I put my oil in, right? That's what you're talking about.
Yep,
right in. It goes in there.
Yep.
Yep.
And it'll be a little can about the size of a baking soda can, but it's a liquid.
866-594-4150. June, thanks very much for the call. You put a picture on our Facebook page of the Corvette event, but the feature car in the picture is a Tesla.
Well, I was out in the parking lot taking pictures, and I'll share the whole group of pictures onto our page because I got them on our company page for the recycling business. But I just happened to notice, we got this brand new Model 3 all motor Tesla sitting there, and it's staring right at a 62 high horsepower internal combustion engines.
Mm-hmm.
And if that doesn't say, what do you think?
yeah, exactly.
Because I think that all-wheel drive, all-motor Tesla could get out and run with those Corvettes pretty close.
I think, yeah, probably.
As far as certain performance issues.
Yeah. Did they do any quick 60 or anything?
No,
Okay.
Nothing like that this time. They
All right.
had a hard time even getting a meeting in because there was so much conversation. And
sure,
we had a couple of cars to show them. We're dismantling a C8 right now, so they were all interested in seeing the dismantling process, taking a brand new car apart like that, like theirs. So, yeah, it was all really interesting.
That'll do it for this hour of the Under the Hood Show. Until next time, you can find us at underthehoodshow.com. Make sure if you go watch our show at YouTube or Facebook, you like and subscribe and do all the things and share it with a friend. We would appreciate it. For Russ Evans, Shannon Nordstrom, I'm Chris Carter. Thanks for joining us on the Under the Hood Show. All right, this is the after show. You have a quick story.
Well, it was from hour one. If you were listening, hour one, the guy was talking about, we talked about a classic Chevy pickup and how once they start making this stuff, boy, once they can just keep stamping out, it's a lot more profitable.
Right, because they had a classic version.
Yep.
And
So I said I had a quick story, and it just makes me think. And the people I have to get down and get on the phone with are involved in this story.
Okay.
My friends in Ohio, the daughter got into quarter horses as a 4-H project, and they ended up having a quarter horse that was National Quarter Horse of the Year at the big event in Texas. And the name of the horse was Ziprageous. I have a hat. And so they were telling us at the time, this is right before the market crash. This has been a number of years ago when the horse thing was just at a peak. And they were getting thousands of dollars for a vial of semen from Ziprageous.
Okay.
I mean, thousands of dollars. And so my friend from Spokane, Washington, Dave, he says to Johnny, he goes, so every vial you can get, I think it was like $8,000 or something like that for. He goes, yep. He goes, everyone. He said, yep. He goes, boy, Ziprageous would be getting serviced until its tongue was hanging out if that was my horse. So that was my story of a continuing revenue stream that I was thinking of when I was telling the story of the classic Chevrolet pickup.
And that's why we save it for the after
Yeah,
show.
I'm
folks.
glad.
That's why I
Yeah.
used my tact
Yeah.
to not tell that story on the main show.
Well done. Well done.
And did I do it in a minute?
Minute and a half.
But there was some lead up that you started.
Baloney.
If I would have went right into it, I could have done it in 45 seconds.
I said 3 words.
I could have done that in 45 seconds. But Ziprageous, yeah, that was.
Nope, we got a meeting in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Got a roller.
All right, but you do. I'll do it for the after the after
yeah.
show. You got to go. We got to go.
Guys, thank you. Sorry I'm running off.
Doug's talking to me. I can't tell. Don't.
Oh, Gary on the phone. That's what he wants.
Yeah, I know. I see him now. I see it. Should we do that?
Let's do Gary quick, and then I'll run.
Okay.
But we got, like I said, we got to make a phone call for an interview too.
Yeah. What?
Let's just. I like the
2.5
pressure.
minutes.
All right, let's do this. Let's talk to Gary. You're on the End of the Hood Show. Gary, what can we do for you?
Hi, yes, I bought this pickup a few months back, 150,000 miles on it, and it's got this loud ticking in it, so I got a deal on it. But they had changed the oil when I bought it, and then I changed it again not too far down the road. I didn't have 5,000 miles on it. I changed it again, and I added sea foam, but I knew the guy had never changed the oil because the oil passage going to the oil pressure gauge plugged up, and my oil pressure went to 0. Well, I know it wasn't 0, so I put more sea foam in it, and that cleaned up in my next oil change. But I still have this ticking sound in the engine, like not a rod bearing, it's like a lifter.
It probably is
what
a
do you
lifter.
do with these 5
It probably is a lifter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it may just be once you get it cleaned up, that'll prevent further wear from oil system issues, but it may already have that wear that's occurred, and it's just going to continue to get worse as it goes, but you may have slowed it down greatly by getting this oil changed. So we'd suggest to continue to keep the oil clean, changed, use oil system cleaner in it, and cross your fingers. I mean, if it's just a sticky lifter, it may actually clean it up.
You
a
might
little bit.
rescue it.
Yeah.
It might be a rescue 5.3,
Mm-hmm.
which doesn't happen very often when they get too far gone.
Nope.
But I would keep working. I would keep working that angle, and that sending. These guys have just talked with me about it on one recently. That sending unit and the little screen that's in there underneath, that will get clogged up even in an engine that's been maintained pretty well.
Yep. Pull the oil filter off, pull the sending unit out, blow compressed air down through the hole from the top. It'll come out the filter on the bottom and clean that passage out.
There you go. Thanks very much for the call. Good luck.
How was that?
That's good. All right. Bye, everyone. Thanks for watching The Under the Hood Show.